So shortly after college, I was actually in a rock band. We were called Fashionably Late. It was a three-piece with two of my close friends, Aaron and Pat. And Pat just met this girl at the time, Kat. Pat and Kat, they're cat trick. It's cute, I know. So this weekend, Cat Trick tied the knot, and they did it in DC, which is why I'm here. But something you probably don't know about DC is it is a mecca for like quality boudoir photographers. So while I'm here, I'm going to be setting up a bunch of photographer spotlight episodes for you guys. And the first one I'm doing is with Julie, and this is her studio. What's up, guys? I'm hanging out here with Julie Soccer.
Hello.
And this is her beautiful studio. I taught a workshop here in DC in April, and so I'm back for a friend's wedding, but I'm just wrapping up. I'm just shooting a bunch of these photographer spotlight episodes for you guys. So I'm so excited for what we're going to be talking about. If you guys don't follow Julie yet, I'm going to put her Insta handle here on the screen. And I'm gonna show some of your images before we get talking. So
awesome.
Julie's photos. All right, so Julie, tell me a little bit about, so just to get kind of like a baseline, you're full-time now, right?
Yeah, so I've been part-time for, 7 years, but it's never been fully part-time because I've been doing boudoir on the side for so long that it's just kind of consumed me, and working a full-time job as well it's exhausting. So I look back at those times and I'm like, I don't know how I managed to do this for 7 years, both boudoir and a full-time job. But
so you're telling me that you were full-time at your job, and then you did part-time boudoir, and then you switched to part-time at your other job?
At the full-time job, yeah. So I was trying to figure out a way to transition to boudoir full-time, and I didn't want to just quit my job and jump right in because I'm not much of a risk taker. Mm-hmm. So I just transitioned. So I transitioned to something part-time, and then was like, ooh, more time. I can schedule more shoots and blah, blah, blah. Well, I did all of that, and now I'm like, I can't handle this part-time job anymore. So, and next week I'll be full-time for boudoir, which is pretty exciting.
That's so exciting.
I'm so pumped.
Because I remember us talking on the phone, and you were like, I'm still at this part-time job, and it pays my health insurance, and it pays these other things, and that's very safe for me. I know where I'm supposed to be. I know what I'm supposed to do. And boudoir feels like it's not, it doesn't make sense to do it as my only source of income.
Right.
But you're booked super far out in advance, and your sales are crushing it. So what do you think it was that gave you the confidence to stop with your part-time job?
Well, it was a lot of people in my ear telling me like, just do it. But I think it took a lot of just, I don't know where I read it, but you hear it all the time. You get one life, and you hear all those inspiration quotes all the time, and until you're actually doing some type of transition yourself where it really resonates with you. And I think the talk that I had with you really kind of gave me that kick in the butt that I needed too. So, but everybody was just like, so why are you still working part-time? And I'm like, I don't know. But I think it's also just because, we're all used to that security of a 9 to 5, and I've been doing it my whole life. My whole adult life. So, I was just scared to let that go, the security of it. But I just feel like I'm at a point now where I need to sleep, I need to rest, I need to recuperate and not get burnt out so much. And so I want to just focus solely on my photography and just honestly just see where it takes me. I don't know, I don't have a 5-year plan, but I just know that I want to keep doing what I'm doing and see where it takes me, and hopefully it'll be somewhere awesome.
I love it. And so for anybody who's maybe on the fence about either starting boudoir to take it, really seriously, to make it maybe their part-time venture, or they're part-time right now and they feel some security in their job, what advice would you give that person for looking to transition?
I think really, well, first it's for me, what really helped me zone in on it was understanding why I'm doing this. My big why, and it wasn't always that, I want to make women feel good. Of course, that's the main reason. But also it was my work-life balance too. I really wanted to work for myself. I really wanted to make my own schedule and all of that stuff. So understanding what your whys are is super important. And just coming up with a plan, just figuring out what you need to do to coming up with a timeline. I didn't really come up with a timeline. It was mostly like, okay, I just had to have enough of this. I need to just do it. Because I kept thinking I can keep doing this for as long as I could stand it. But when I started realizing that my numbers were saying that I was doing pretty well and I could do it, I just had to do it. So
you needed like a lot of repetition, a lot of like confidence building to say, this isn't a fluke. Obviously,
absolutely.
Things are going well, and they've been going well consistently for a long time.
Right. I think for me too, when I first started, I had no intentions of starting my own business. I had no intentions of charging money for it, because I just was like, I really needed a creative outlet on the weekends. And this was something that I just started doing, and I just really loved doing it. And then when it just became monthly, I was doing this monthly, I was like, okay, well, this is really just pocket money for me. I wasn't really serious about actually making it a job, And then every year it just got more busy and more busy, and then I just kept getting more and more into it until I got my first studio space, and that's when I was like, okay, this is real life. Like, I need to make money now to make my rent. So that was kind of what jump-started me into really focusing on making it my full-time career.
So here you are, you're working your part-time job, and then you're also shooting a lot of boudoir, and you decide it's time to get a studio space. And so what are the steps you took to make the change in your business to make that possible?
So I'm actually going to back up a little bit, because when I looked into a studio space, I didn't want to commit to a full space. Like, I didn't want to be like, oh, well, I didn't want to commit to something on my own totally. And I ran into a shared space. And this is when I was actually still working full time too. I was like, I just need some time that I can, because at the time I was doing hotels, and I figured as much as I'm spending in hotels, I need to find something cheaper. And for some reason I thought finding a shared space, I thought it was going to be cheaper. So in long run, it was actually about the same cost as me just doing hotels. But the owner of that studio is Rachel Branke, and she would come out and ask me, like, why am I only doing this part-time? And, you should be doing this full-time. You're really crushing it. You're really killing it. Just move into the studio full-time, and you're going to be awesome at it. And I was like, no, I can't. I just remember being so freaked out about actually signing a lease, and like that just, to me, that meant it was real. And I was like, no, I can't. But after thinking it over, I finally just went ahead and signed the lease, and it was, it's kind of like the story of my life. I kind of just had to jump in and see what happens. But I jumped in, and started booking shoots, and that's when I think got a little bit more serious. So I think for me, it was just, when you surround yourself with people who were just like, Julie, you can do it, it's when I'm like, oh, well, okay, I guess I can.
I guess you can. And do you think kind of having that monthly bill really forced you to take it seriously? There wasn't really any, I believe a lot in deadlines. I believe a lot in, I think human nature is to put things off. And so for you to, make this jump, you're kind of forcing yourself to grow.
Right, exactly. So yeah, having that monthly bill. So then I was forced to figure out, well, how many shoots do I need to book a month to make my rent? And then any other shoots on top of that is just the bonus. And I say that because at the time it was just part-time.
Right.
So for me, it was just like, this is just a gig that I'm doing. It's part-time. But when I signed that lease, it was real. And that's when I decided that I was just going to make it full-time. I was going to work my way to making it full-time.
I love it. And now, on average, how many shoots are you booking a month?
It's anywhere between 8 and 10. I'm happy with 8, but I can squeeze in 10. It's been really crazy this year though. And I'm usually the summer times are my slower months, but I've had 10 to 12 in the summer this year.
That's so much.
Which is crazy, and I don't know how I was doing it with a part-time job. So, but I'm glad to let that part-time job go and just focus on booking my shoots.
I'm so glad you're doing it too. Okay, so first I want to know, so when you decided, okay, I need to take this seriously and I need to start really making money with it, where did you turn to? I mean, like, what were the biggest changes that you had to make in your business? Was it based around shooting? Was it based about like improving your imagery? Was it based around your marketing? Was it your pricing? Like, what is it that you had to focus on?
I think for me, what it was is I was pretty confident with my shooting. I was confident with the art of what I was doing. I just sucked at business. So I just tried to focus on a lot of workshops and one-on-ones, mentorships on how to be a better business person. Because I think as creatives, we're so good at our art and we just don't know how to price it. We don't know how to market, all that stuff that goes with a business. So I really kind of just focused on workshops or tutorials or anything that just focused on business, pricing, marketing. And I will say I did take a lot of different workshops and mentorships, but what I thought was really great about that is they all taught different ways, and I just kind of formulated my own, what worked for me. So I think just taking a lot of classes, a lot of just how to be a better business person, and also just surrounding myself with people who were like-minded, who had the same goals. Because I'm a firm believer that you really can make it in whatever you're doing as long as you're surrounded by people who have the same aspirations for you, or cheerleaders for you, or really push you to do amazing stuff. So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I think that a lot of people, look to a photographer. They say, "Oh, they do it this way. That's the only way to do it," and it's not true. And then they look at a second person. They do it the complete opposite way.
Right.
One person only sells digitals. One person only sells albums. And they feel like they can only do one or the other. But you kind of end up, through your experiences and through learning, kind of finding your own specific way, which is the next thing that I want to talk about because, I know how I do my pricing, and it's set up in a way that you purchase the albums. You can buy digital separately, but you can purchase the album, and then however many images come in that album, it includes those specific digitals. And the more images you get, the more expensive it is, and the bigger the album is, the more expensive that is. But last time we talked, you were doing something with like using gifts to incentivize higher purchases. So tell me a little bit about that.
So yeah, I think it was back in beginning of 2017 maybe. I took a workshop with the Adore girls, with Jamie and Courtney.
Awesome.
I know, they're pretty amazing ladies.
Quick side note, the person you're mentioning, Jamie, I'm going to tag the Adore girls here, but I actually was out in Tennessee and I did a photo shoot, a video shoot there with this girl, Jen, who kind of talked through her boudoir experience and what her life is like. And so I'm going to link that. It'll be in one of these cards up above.
But it was in Vegas during the WPPI conference. And she really helped open my eyes to like your costs of doing business. I really never paid attention to that stuff. Because I had a job. I didn't have to worry about it. This was just for fun, remember? But because I really wanted to get serious about what I was doing and why I was doing it, I needed to pay attention to my numbers. And anyway, she really helped me open up my eyes to how to see that and how to price your work and all of that. And what I thought was really cool, the biggest thing was just keeping everything super simple. And I tend to, when I looked at my old price list, I looked at it and I was like, okay, this is actually, it might make sense to me, but Sally sitting here isn't gonna understand what
Sally's
this means.
Sally's not gonna know what's up.
So making it super simple was my goal, and what Jamie, her method was, I thought was just brilliant. So I was just, you're buying the digitals. So they're buying digitals because that's what everybody wants these days. That's cool. I understand. I really love digitals too. But with those digitals, they get a complimentary gift. And so that just means I really want them to have an album. So with a certain number of images, they get an album with that. And then I have my upgrades going that. So the more images you buy, the bigger the album, the more product that comes with it. But of course, you have to price your digitals appropriately for that. So I think at the time I was doing $100 per image, and my goal was to get them into a 25 images, and with that came an album, an 8x8 album, and the digitals, because that's really what most people were ordering. That was what they wanted, were the digitals and the album.
Yeah.
So that was my goal sale.
And then what if they bought more digitals?
It would just be an additional $100 towards that. So, and then I had over time, I've kind of customized it for myself, where I had one collection where they could just buy it all, and that was like the Mac Daddy collection.
Love those Mac Daddies. Yeah.
But that's where they get all their digitals, and you kind of have to make it you make it sweet to make them want, like, it's just a no-brainer to upgrade to that big collection. So.
I love that. So basically what you're doing is you're changing the value from the product, from the physical paper that it's on, to the actual image.
Correct.
And what do you get? You're buying the photos, and if you get enough photos, bonus, we'll print them for you.
Right. Because I really want them to print it, and if I'm just selling the digitals, I don't want them to just walk away with digitals. Otherwise, those digitals will sit in a drawer and never see the light of day again. So with that, I want them to have something printed, so I include an album or a printed product with it. So yeah, I really want them to have that.
And because I think a lot of people also want albums, it sort of incentivizes them to start at a minimum of 25 images, right? So is it more rare for somebody to buy less than that?
It's very few, but usually you have the clients who come in on a budget, they just want a gift for somebody else, and then that's all they're gonna spend. Yeah. And that's okay. A sale is a sale, so.
For sure. So that's the way you've been doing it for?
So I've been doing that for about 2 years, and it's actually working pretty great for me. I'm doing great with that pricing structure, but because I changed my mind a lot and I just want to test the waters, I'm changing something up where I'm separating my products and digitals. So I'm using my digitals as my upsell. So, but we'll see how that goes. So now I'm gonna have like a set of albums that they can choose from. They put their images, they all start at like with a certain number of images, and then they can add on more photos to it. And then if they want the digitals, they have to add it on to those digitals, or add it on to the sale too.
So you're separating them out.
I'm separating them out.
A chance for higher profit.
Higher profit, yeah.
And why are you so a lot of people like, oh, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
I know, and that's kind of like where I'm struggling, but I also think, even though just buying the digitals, the way it's structured, it is super simple. But when I explain it to my clients, I find myself having to explain it a couple times because they're just like, wait, what?
It doesn't make
like it comes with. So having things just laid out, like, here's the albums, here's your digitals, here's what they cost.
So it goes back.
I feel like they understand that structure better. And it still is very simple because I'm only offering 2 products on my list. So
yeah, that's interesting. It kind of goes back to what you were saying initially. Just keep it really, really simple for them. You don't want to confuse them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think the only thing one of the things that's motivating me to do the new pricing is I've been in my consults, I've been booking that price list. So and they don't really ask questions about it. So they're just like, oh, okay, cool.
Nice.
There's not, can you explain so if I buy this many photos, I get this. So now they just know, like, oh, well, this is what an album costs and this is what this costs, and like, cool, yep, let's sign me up. So
brilliant. I love it.
But we'll see how it goes. So I'm kind of testing it all out right now. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing how it goes. When I kind of ask, give me a tip, give me a marketing tip. You mentioned branding. So what does branding mean to you? How do you use it in your business? Like, how do you explain it in a way that I'm going to start that over. Yeah, so basically just tell me what branding means to you and how you use it in your business.
Sure. So branding to me means it's more than your logo. I think when people think of branding, right away they think of a logo. Like, oh, that's exactly what I need. I need a logo. Actually, figuring out what who you are in your business and how you run your business is your brand. It's how it's the feeling they take away from your business. So to me, branding just means your client experience, from the first time they contact you till the time you deliver their products. So I really think branding to me just means that you really need to pay attention to how you're interacting with your clients, how you appear to your overall feeling of how you appear to your market is your branding.
When somebody looks at your website, or when somebody
what feeling,
talks about your experience,
yeah.
like what is more than it's pretty,
right?
Or
right.
it's it's like, how does it make you feel?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. What does it make you think of?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that is really your client experience and how you, how your clients are coming away from your session, or just interacting with you in email. How did they feel when you when you responded to their inquiry? So it's all the logo is just the visual representation of that feeling. So that's why that's why it's really hard to come up with a logo before you've even started your business.
Right.
And that's why I think for me, I just had my name for my business for long. It still is my name, but I've changed my logo around to have the feeling of what I wanted my clients to feel. Thank you. But starting off with something super simple, just so you do have some type of visual identity out there, is important. But I think really concentrating on what feeling you give to your clients and how you run your business is something to pay attention to first, before any pretty colors or fancy logos. So,
well, tell me like an example of how you use that in your business. Like, what's either different about yours, or like, what do you stress? How do you improve the experience to connect with your brand?
So it's, for me, the biggest thing I want for my clients is to be comfortable. I really want them to come in like it's just a girl's day out. Like we've known each other for a really long time, and so that when they come in on their day of their shoot, they're always going to be nervous, but I don't want them to be that nervous. And I hear all the time, oh, I've had my shoot, and oh my gosh, I really didn't realize I was going to be as comfortable as I was. But what I try to do is, from the very beginning, is I try to get them in the studio first, because I really want to have the face-to-face with them, and I really want them to know that I'm going to be planning your session with you. I'm going to walk you through the experience, because I know you've never done this before. I'm going to show you and guide you throughout the whole process. So I have them come to the studio before they've even booked anything, because I really want to chat with them and really get to know why they want to do their shoot. And this is also a chance to know that maybe I'm not the right fit for them too. So,
for sure.
Granted, I've only had to tell that to one person. So,
nice.
And it's hard, because you really want to work with them, but if you just don't mesh, you just don't mesh.
For sure. So hold on. So there's a lot of options. You could just be emailing back and forth with the client before you book. You can get them on the phone. I do a lot of in-person consults as well. So that's your preferred?
I prefer in-person. You kind of figure out what your strengths are. Some really kill it with the phone consults. Some really kill it with the Skype consults. Some are really great with just email. I have to be with you. I'm super awkward on the phone, I think, just because, well, we're all like texting nowadays.
You are.
So I'm just like, what do I do now? So I prefer one-on-one. I prefer to have just a live conversation. And that's mostly because I need to read your body language. I need to see how you're feeling, and I need to see all that stuff. So I perform better if I can see you face to face.
Perfect. Okay, so pre-consult is a huge part of the part of your branding experience, because it shows you, and I think what a lot of people don't realize when they're trying to put together their brand is they're trying to make it look like specifically somebody else. And what's unique about us is that we are ourselves, and nobody else is like that. Right. So I totally agree. When somebody comes into my studio and they sit down, we chat, it gives them an opportunity to look at me and get comfortable with, who am I, what's different about me, what do I have to offer that nobody else does. And so it's really a two-way street. It gives me the ability to look at them and say, you're nervous about this. then I can know what response to say about that. But it's harder to know that until they come in and you're sitting with them.
Yeah, a good point. One of my mentors, the biggest takeaway that I took from consults is people have different learning styles. It's auditory, touch, scent, smell, and visual. There might be some I'm missing, but those are the big main ones. Of course, when you're doing phone consults, if that person's not a listener or not an auditory learner, you might not book that one just because that's just not the way they learn. When they come in for a consult, they're getting all those senses satisfied. The touch, because they see your samples. The visual, they see you, they see your space, they see how comfortable and warm it is. And then, of course, the auditory, because you're sitting there talking to them about their experience too. So,
Which you don't get over email.
You don't get over email, correct.
Yeah.
So that's why I think the in-person consults, for me, work really well because...
So interesting. Very cool. I'm trying to think of something that I do brand-wise. You know, the way the logo looks, I rebranded about 3 years ago, and it's like, it's so good to feel confident about putting your logo on things and getting packaging and all of those things. But I think when you believe in what it is, you know, your why, we talk about always finding your why. It's so much easier to share that and put that everywhere in your emails. Are you somebody who your brand represents empowering women? Is your brand something that represents feeling specifically sexy? Is your brand something that represents being comfortable in your own skin? Is your brand something that represents love between two people? Is your brand something that represents, it can, within this idea of boudoir, it can get super specific.
Oh, absolutely.
And in the way that you word, so if it is, empowering, the most common word in all of boudoir,
right.
Then you use that in your emails, and you use that on your website, and you use that in your thank you cards, and you use that everywhere so that, when that client is talking about your experience, that's something that comes top of mind. And when they talk about it with their friends or somebody else who might book, they're going to be able to portray that because that's the emotion that you gave them, for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's talk websites. So I love your website. I loved your website before, but I know that you changed it a couple months ago. Why? Websites are just like, you can spend forever on them. You can spend so much time on them, and you can get lost in them, and they're never done, and they're always tweaking. And then once you get something you feel like is perfect, it's such a pain to completely change it. So why did you make that change, and what were you hoping it would do for you?
Oh, so yeah, my website was your standard, standard website that had your gallery, your about me page, all the links that pertain to your shoot. I think what changed it for me was it was maybe a year and a half ago. I really wanted to book more shoots. And I felt like I could see that I had visitors coming to my website. I just didn't feel like I was converting those inquiries that were, or those visitors coming to my site. So I stumbled across La Marie Portraiture. She also mentors photographers, and I reached out to somebody that was in her class, her boot camp, and was asking her about it, and she just told me it was really awesome for her. So I signed up, and because what she really I guess teaches is how to book yourself solid for the rest of the year. So one thing that I learned was changing my website to convert. You set your website up to convert those visitors.
Okay.
So I just have a one-page site that guides them to each step about me, my work, my reviews, and then I just have one contact form at the bottom so that any other questions they have, they're going to talk to me about. It's not, I feel like when you have everything laid out on your website, that gives them the chance to compare you to other people. And so having that one page layout where they're going to contact me, I can talk to them about my experience. I can get them excited right away. I can get them to come in to the studio for the consult. So I feel like having it that way well, it's worked so far for me. So
Sounds like it.
being able to chat with them via email, just a little back and forth, just to get them enough to come into the studio. Because that's my goal, is to get them to come into the studio, because that's usually where they end up booking anyway. If they can't come to the studio, of course, we do like a phone interview or something like that. But having the website set up so that it's super simple and you're just basically telling your viewers where you want them to go, was, I think, probably the changing point of how I book my clients now.
Nice. And so within that website, I know you've got a section you've got some testimonials that are right there that are, front and center. You got a couple of your images, like 20 of your photos.
Yeah, there's not a lot, because I want my site to load quickly. And from what I hear, Google doesn't like it when your website doesn't load quickly enough.
Google hates
so
it.
having just your favorite top photos that you want to show for your business and about who you are, are in that, I guess there's about 20 in there, 15 to 20 maybe. And then it goes right into a little blurb about me. And then it talks a little bit about the experience, my starting rates, and then to the contact.
That's
so
awesome.
it's like leading them right to where you want them.
That's awesome.
Because of course they're going to want to know more. Like, what else what's your availability like? When can I come in for a consult?
Yeah.
So that's.
I love it.
It's kind of how it goes.
That's perfect. Again, another example of how you can do it a number of different ways. So for me personally, I think being a male photographer, I think it's been a benefit to put more information.
I believe. Yeah, I agree.
For sure.
I think that you do video. I think that's also like a gigantic plus.
Thank you. Yeah, video on the website has been huge for me, to be able to get them to see what it's like to actually work with me, to hear my voice, to watch me pose, as goofy as it looks. But it's very disarming to them, and so that's right. I won't demonstrate in this moment, but yeah, being able to have enough, and then as far as like testimonials, having a lot. But I think in your position, to be able to show just like your top images, your very best images, a little bit about you. I love your About Me section of that website. I think it's so powerful, and I think we really get to know you. And then, leading into, again, instead of having like contact button on the top and just kind of whatever page you're on, you have to kind of go in and find it. It really is, you're leading them into that. And so that's awesome that's working so well for you.
Thanks. I think the biggest challenge was, I'm a blogger too, so I like to blog. I haven't blogged as much as I should, but I do like to blog my clients' experiences too, and that was one thing that kind of bothered me a little bit, was that I don't have a link to my blog on my website. But that was strategically done because I want my clients to contact me first. And then blogging is shared mostly through Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff.
Right. Instagram is kind of the new blog.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that I loved when I came to the studio in April to do my workshop was that I saw this notebook out on the counter, and I was like, what's going on here? What do you have in here? And it's all of your shoot notes, all of your ideas of what you're gonna do. You've got it here. It says jacket, bodysuit, couch poses, stand by the pillar. Let's see. You've got bra and panties, bed poses, stand by the window, slide off bed.
Oh, yeah.
That's a pose to remind you.
That's one of my poses, yeah.
So this is so cool. I've never really done it this way, but tell me a little bit about why you do it this way.
So I need a system when I'm shooting. Sometimes I think it's one of my downfalls, and sometimes I think it's actually kind of brilliant. But in a shoot, I can go off. The shoot can actually go longer than an hour and a half for me. But I need a system where I have each outfit in its own little set, whether it's the couch or the bed, because it keeps me organized. Because what I don't like to do is repeat poses in different outfits, because then that just means more photos I got to go through. I'm already an overshooter, so I don't want to have to go through more photos than I need yet. I'm trying to get better. So I have a notebook here that I just write. My clients come in, we go through their outfits, and then while they're in hair and makeup, I'm putting their outfits together and coming up with my sets. I call it my set list. It kind of makes me feel like a rock star.
So awesome.
So I come up with my set list, and I just kind of write down. Like sometimes some outfits are just better with more standing poses. Some outfits are just awesome on the bed. Like if I know if it's a client who is really self-conscious about her tummy area, I'll save that outfit. Maybe it's just the bra and panty outfit for the bed because I know we're going to be doing a lot of on the tummy shoots or on the tummy poses in that one.
Nice. So you do this. So you do this for every client.
Every client. That's just me though.
Amazing. Amazing.
Lately though, because you get down, I think this is where I think it's kind of a downfall because you kind of get into that system and it's to the point now where I can, if they have the 3 outfits I told them to bring in, the types of outfits to bring in, I don't really need to write it down because I know what we're going to do in them. But sometimes we get wild card outfits where I'm like, ooh, I really got to figure out something different for this one because this isn't my standard outfit. But I always like in my sessions, we have 2 to 3 outfits. So we get 2 outfits and then I always try to convince them to do the white sheet look. Cause really they only need to focus on 2 outfits. So then I know that it's usually like all the time, a bra and panty set and a bodysuit. And then it's the white sheet look. I don't need to write it down because I already know what we're going to do. But yeah, if they bring in like some outfits that, are kind of, I call my wild card outfits where I just don't really have a standard, set list for them. I usually have to like think and figure out where in the studio I'm going to place them and what's going to be the best lighting for that type of outfit, all of that stuff. So what I've been trying to do lately too is just not writing anything down because I feel like that's where the most creativity comes from. Because then you can kind of go without looking at anything. I feel like you might surprise yourself in some of the poses that maybe you didn't think were going to work, but they actually do work. When I work with models, if I'm trying to, usually the only time I work with models is if I'm trying something new. And this is what's funny is when I have them come in, I always find myself breaking out my notebook and like writing down the list, and I'm like, And for some reason with the model, I just can't. Like I end up never writing anything down, and we just kind of go off the cuff and just do whatever. But that also gives me just ideas on because there's spots in the studio that I don't even use, and I'm thinking, well, I just need to figure out what the lighting looks like there.
Yeah.
Or times of day, like when you were here and you're like, actually, afternoon's really awesome in here. And I'm like, I've never shoot in the afternoon.
That's right. So these windows get light certain parts of the day, and then other parts of the day, obviously, the sun doesn't actually come in with any direct light. So
right.
I personally love it when the light is coming in and flooding the studio.
That's actually my favorite now, too. So now that we're coming into the winter months, sun sets right there, and it comes in earlier. So right around 11 o'clock noon is when that direct sunlight will come in. And I really love that light now, too.
So pretty.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that you switched over.
I did.
Well, let's see. So, yeah, I think this is an absolutely brilliant system. I think especially for when you're starting, or even if you've been doing it for a long time, just to keep it concise and to know exactly the different shots that you're going to do. I have, whatever my mental of my 25 poses that I use with like every single client. And then what I try and really do is when they come in and they're in whatever their outfits are, I really try and like look at them and figure out what is different about this person that I haven't shot before. What is unique about their charisma or their character or something, like what vibe do they give off? And then I try and like not harness that, but use that as a little bit of inspiration. And so I found that kind of every shoot I still get a handful of pictures that I've just never shot before. I can look at that and say like, this hasn't even crossed my mind before, but because of the way you were when you walked across the room, or you sat on the bed just sort of in the way that you sit, or because your hair is extra long, or the way that, whatever it is. And so I try really hard. Every once in a while I'll shoot, I'll just be, we'll finish that shot and I'll just go, just hold on a sec. Okay, we're gonna try something. I don't know if it's gonna work, but I think it's gonna be awesome. Are you up for it? And then we'll just try something new. And usually it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. But I think that is some of the fun, and as the creativity is just letting yourself try things out. And on the flip side, I think probably the opposite end of that is the person who just has no plan at all. And so they end up shooting kind of the same average shots over and over again because they didn't have a plan. They kind of got nervous and they couldn't think of what to do. And so they don't get a lot of variety and they get stuck in the same spot.
Right.
Like the light here is amazing. So they end up shooting for 30 minutes in one outfit and kind of one pose. And then they don't have as many pictures to sell.
Right.
So they kind of get stuck in that way.
Right.
So I definitely think there's a blend of the two of them for sure.
Right. And I think something that's always like what you mentioned, you have your standard like 25 poses that you do probably right off the bat, and then maybe you can switch it up and do something creative. I do those too. So I have like my system of poses that I know works for everybody. And I always usually do those too. And then so if same thing, like if I have somebody who, it's usually somebody who I really like vibe with, like I know they're going to be the game for trying something new. I'll say the same thing where I'm just like, you said you were game. Let's try something different. And usually they get really pumped for that. They're like, yeah, let's try something different. But yeah, so I think for me, what I'm trying to do now is just be a little bit more, I'm trying to break away from my system a little bit just because I feel like it's too confining for me. But I think for somebody starting out, and everybody's different too. Some people love to just work off the cuff and just shoot whatever comes to mind. And that's great too. But I think if you're starting out and you get stuck in what poses to do, coming up with that set list of standard poses. I always start with a core pose with every outfit. We start off with something, and I'm actually watching how they're moving in between my clicks. Because watching how they're moving in between those clicks helps me see how they naturally move. Something as simple as the way they brush their hair behind their ear, or they're always adjusting their outfits. And they'll always hear it. Like I'm always like they hear the click, 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 and then they hear it stop, and then they relax, and then they're just like adjusting, and like, wait a second, you just did this thing. And they're like, wait, I don't know what you're talking about. And then I'll reenact it for them. And then, because those are the times where I'm really watching. Yeah. That's where you can transition to different poses that maybe you haven't tried before. So that's what helps me too, is just also watching them and their body language in between those clicks, because I think that's really important, because that's when they start to relax and then they do those natural movements that's natural for them. And I think that's a lot of times when, a lot of people, my clients, when they see my photos, the biggest thing they say is they always look so comfortable. And I say, I watch you a lot during your shoot.
Because you're vibing off of them.
And your vibe, yeah, for sure.
I think this is something really, really important, is that I think some photographers have such a system that the personality of the client doesn't get to be seen. It's only the photographer's style. So you can just switch women out and it doesn't matter who's in there because everybody looks exactly the same because you're not getting anything from that. So yeah, I'm the same. If I go to like change the lighting and the way she sits or lays down in the bed, I'm like, don't move.
Yeah, exactly.
When I get over there, you're just gonna be one of those people that just wherever they're sitting is like the perfect pose. Yeah. And because that's, I want their shoot to feel like it's them. It's them,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I always, like a standard sitting pose, I'll start them off in that traditional, a more posed look. And then when they start to relax even more, I can see like the certain way they're leaning, or the certain way and any of those little touches that they do where I'm like, wait, stay right there. They're like, I don't know what I just did.
What'd I do?
And then I have to reenact it for them.
And you have to remind them that if you hear the shutter clicking, like I'm taking it on purpose. So if you're adjusting something and you hear it click, like the whole point was for me to do that.
Right,
so
exactly.
So sometimes I'll say, you know what, let's throw your hair to the other side. And I'll get my camera real ready to take the picture as they're doing it.
Yes.
Because sometimes it's the moments in between the poses.
Exactly. Those are my favorite parts.
Yeah. For sure. Well, let's do this. Before we wrap up, the last thing I want to do is you have an amazing lingerie closet here, and a lot of photographers don't know what this is, and they don't know the benefits of it. So full disclosure, I don't have a lingerie closet. I have all my clients bring in kind of exactly what they're gonna wear for the session, but I want to show yours.
Okay.
All right?
Sure.
Let's do it.
I have to clean it first. So in here is the closet where I keep all my stuff. Shoes, and just a bunch of stuff that I have picked out for clients over the years. My closet started off as a basket of panties because a lot of people, weirdly enough, were forgetting underwear, which I thought was very strange. So I would go to Target or anywhere and just buy like those like bulk bins, the sale panties, and just keep them on hand. They wear it, they're yours, I don't want them back. But then I just started noticing my clients were coming in and with outfits that they weren't really excited about, or that didn't fit them properly, or some really old lingerie. So I started collecting a bunch of stuff over the years, and my biggest, I think, are the bodysuits because they photograph beautifully on everybody. So I try to keep more bodysuits in the studio just because every woman has their area that they're not really excited about, and it covers this area and still makes them feel the sexiest. So bodysuits are my favorite, and I get pretty specific on the type of bra that I prefer them to have and that I also keep in the studio. I have more bralettes than I do regular cup bras because with the cups you have to be a specific size for those. With the bralettes, I think they actually are better than the cups. I actually don't use this closet a whole lot. I really encourage them to bring their own outfits, and this is really just here as a supplement to what they have. But I always tell them if they want to look in the closet and see what's there and they love whatever it is, that they're welcome to use it too. So layering pieces are also really good to have. Robes, cardigans. The biggest use out of the closet are the shoes, because not a lot of people have 6-inch heels to walk around in. So most of my clients, I don't think, are big shoe 6-inch heel people. So if anything, they get to use the shoes get the most use out of the closet. And I just have the photos up here as, when they first come in, they kind of get ideas for what to wear. But this inspiration came from Victoria's Secret. So if you ever go to Victoria's Secret, look up. They have photos all around their place, and that, I think, puts that excitement into their when they start planning for their shoots. So yeah, the photos in here just put some inspiration for outfits.
This is incredible. How long did it take you to build all of this up?
I would say I maybe about a year and a half, but that was mostly just because if I find myself shopping, I would stop at most of the stuff. H&M and Forever 21
Really?
Are where I got my pieces from. So, and a lot of it too, when I did my own boudoir shoot, I bought a ton of stuff. Didn't use it, so I left it here. So, but about a year and a half, and still, if I drop in and go to one of those stores and see something that I really like, that I think would be awesome in the closet, I'll just pick it up and stick it in here.
Do you think it's been worth it?
I think it is. I think, one, it shows your clients that you're prepared and that you know what you're talking about as far as outfits goes, because that's one thing that they always want advice on, is what to wear for their session. And I think that makes them feel comfortable knowing that if they brought stuff that you think isn't going to photograph well, that you have some stuff here that is going to fit them and look great. I think the only downside is if you went like me and just kind of went overboard.
Yeah, there really is a lot of stuff.
I don't need all of this stuff, but I think having just a few staple pieces that is going to work for all of your clients is great. I think if anything, maybe just having accessories like the body jewelry is really great too. Garters, because you can add that to any bra and panty set. I don't really see a downside other than it's really easy to overspend on a closet like this and not really get any use out of it, because you can still see there's some pieces that still have price tags on them. But I don't really see a downside. I think having it here also gives me security, knowing that if my clients bring in something that isn't the best for them, I can pull from here. So I think all in all, it's a plus. You don't have to have something this large I think having a handful of pieces is all you really need.
Okay, so speaking of branding, kind of we were talking about earlier, when you walk into this closet, sign on the door here, the best accessory a girl can wear is confidence. And then you also have your hashtag if they want to take that picture and post it, then people can find you that way.
Exactly.
That's just smart. That's just smart. So that's another quick little, as far as branding goes, if you have little things like that. I've got signs at my place that say, treat yourself, get naked, you're like so pretty, you're like really pretty.
I looked at my bath mat.
Yeah, she's got it as her bath mat. So little things like that can really, just make your client feel at home and build their confidence and kind of really make them feel like, you believe in them, and it adds to the experience. Okay, Julie, thank you so much for being here. That was really cool. I took away quite a few things actually in the pricing, in the website, and in your in the way that you really watch them as they do. I sort of, as they are moving in between the pictures, I think I'm like subconsciously kind of taking note of it, and if I see something, I tell them to stop. But I'm not doing it as like a sneaky plan,
right?
Like you do. So I think I'm gonna try and pay a little bit more attention to that in the future. But I want to say thank you. If you guys want to follow Julie's work, you can follow her Instagram. If you have more questions for her, definitely reach out to her that way. And any final words?
No, thanks for coming over and doing this. This is really, really awesome. It's cool to be able to just chat, talk shop. So
I know,
anytime.
It's the best. Such nerds.
I know.
All right, that's a wrap. Okay, so I'll stop these and we'll go do it. But before we do that, I love that it's still recording right now.
I know.